Showing up early to beat the crowd is no longer cutting it. But you already showed up to the most premier photographic spot along with the rest of the world. So how can you make the best out of your situation without resorting to Thanos snapping everyone out of your photo?
Number 1, include the crowd.
Well, my first advice is to not fight it. Include the crowd. With the rise of generative AI and over photoshopping, I think the world is starting to crave for more realism, what it actually looks like on location. Nobody wants to be tricked. However, we can still make our shot look more interesting through a technique called slow shutter speed. We can essentially turn our crowd into a giant moving wave, and this is a popular technique amongst waterfall photographers. Take a look at this in-camera example right here. Using Vivian as our stationary subject, pay attention to the crowd behind her as I'm dialing down a shutter to the left, increasing the fraction number. At 1/5 of a second, anything that's moving will become a blur. Now, if your camera or lens have stabilization, you can try going even slower, up to 1 second. Make sure to stay as still as possible when taking the photo, and you should be able to get something like this. Silky smooth like water. If you want to use this technique during the day, then I highly recommend getting a neutral density filter. This is like sunglasses for your cameras, which helps cut down the amount of light entering your sensor. And the one that I'm using here is a super affordable one from K&F Concept. Just make sure to get one that fits your lens filter size. With it, you should be able to get results like these.
Number 2, longer exposure.
Now with a tripod, you can open up your exposure up to 30 seconds. That way you can eliminate a few stragglers if you're in an area that doesn't have a stadium of people, so long as they're constantly in motion. Just make sure to turn on that 2-second timer to ensure you get a shake-free photo. It's much easier to do at night and you won't need an ND filter. For daytime, however, you do need a pretty strong ND, or crank up your aperture to the max and just hope for the best. Just make sure to use a Lightroom to remove the dust in your photos. Eesh, time to get that sensor clean, bro.
Number 3, find a unique perspective from everyone else.
Nowadays, when a location is shared on Instagram and TikTok, chances are everyone is lining up for that same wide shot, which is why I always recommended bring a telephoto lens. And the one that I can highly recommend in particular is an 85mm prime. But you can use any telephotos like a 135, a 70-200, or even a 100-400. Now, telephotos are great because you can just purely focus on the subject matter, or you can really focus on the details around the area, things that people often easily miss. You ever heard of the phrase, less is more? Well, wide shots can have too much going on, especially with the crowd, but having a telephoto, we can keep it minimal. If you don't have a telephoto on you, try getting out of the crowd and explore the area. You might just see something different. On my way down from this famous Mount Fuji pagoda shot, I saw this torii gate perfectly framing Mount Fuji that had less than 5 people there. So don't stay stuck in one area. Oh, and here's an underrated tip. While showing up early may not cut it anymore, staying up late might just bring a different result. Man, just look at those stars. And now we're gonna take a quick break to thank PPA for sponsoring a portion of this video.
Thank you, PPA.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. As professional photographers, we're no stranger to demands of our craft.
Long hours, creative ruts, and client pressures can take a toll on our mental well-being.
So PPA wanted me to let you know that as members, we get access to telemedicine services through the CADR Plus program, Call a Doctor Plus. With it, you can connect with licensed doctors and professional counselors via phone or video chat and discuss mental health concerns from the comfort of your own home. A PPA membership costs $28.42 a month, where you get access to a whole slew of photography and business tips. And if you feel like talking to a professional about any mental health concerns, then you can add CADR Plus to your membership for $14.95 per month.
To learn more, check out the link down below, and you can also use it to save $25 off your entire membership. Thanks for listening. Now back to the video.
Number 4, play with your composition and lighting.
Composition is probably the biggest default when it comes to framing crowds out of your shot, so definitely work your arm and leg muscles to find that interesting framing. But playing with the available light can also have a dramatic effect. I love silhouettes because it doesn't matter if the people are locals or tourists. They're dark enough to be anybody, and it really helps enhances the scene of the location. And if my subject is more in the environment, then I try to frame it in a way where the people and the distracting elements are in the shadows.
Number 5, portrait blocking.
When it comes to doing portraits on location, you want to make sure that your subject is the most prominent. And while you can use a fast prime lens or a long telephoto lens to blur everything out and single out your subject, it sometimes can defeat the purpose of travel because you're essentially removing the element of the location.
Are you Jason?
Yes.
No, I mean both of you.
So taking in everything we've learned so far, same idea. Try to get away from everyone else. For example, this famous Cherry Blossom Street in Tokyo. We actually went over on the opposite end of the street, and what we did was had Vivian block as much of the people in the middle as possible. And this was shot with an ultra wide angle lens. However, we still want to have the main location as the backdrop, so what we did was we made sure the people who were walking by had their back facing us. Now, I should have done a slow shutter speed trick here, but that kind of escaped my mind. Would have been cool to see those people in motion while Vivian was still, but it's okay. We'll try that again next time. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Number 6, changing subjects.
Try changing up your subjects. Ask yourself, what else is this place that you're visiting known for besides their majestic sceneries? Instead of focusing on the famous Kabukicho sign in the red light district here, I decided to focus on the taxis and the locals that are zooming by. I used the slow shutter speed technique and perform a pan in which I follow and match the pace of the subject in motion. My shutter speed was between 1/20 and 1/30. And with some luck, I was able to get a clear and sharp shot. This technique is a lot of fun. It does require a lot of patience, but damn does it feel good when you nail it.
Number 7, be patient.
And that's the final tip, be patient. Behind a lot of the amazing shots that you might have seen on the internet, there's a certain level of planning that goes behind it, but ultimately it all comes down to dumb luck. Timing is everything, and there will always be a brief window of opening where there is no crowd. It might take you a couple of extra snaps, it might take you an extra couple of minutes, it might even take you a couple of extra days. But if you really want the shot, don't be discouraged. Risk it for the biscuit. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Thanks for watching.